So capital gains are the extra money you get when you sell capital assets for more than what you have bought for when you have purchased the assets. So it's like making a profit. It's like I have purchased something for 10 lakhs and I'm selling it for 20 lakhs. So the 10 lakhs margin which I am getting is what is my capital gain. Now this capital gain could be long term or it could be short term. Who will decide whether it is long term or short term? It depends upon the period of holding. It depends upon the specified time you have owned that particular asset. Now, it depends upon asset to asset whether that asset will go to long term or short term, which we will discuss in the later part. If it is a long term, then obviously you will get some more benefits. If you have hold it for short term, it's a short term asset and the gains are short term capital gains, then the benefits are lesser. Also, if the buy price is more than the sell price, let's say I have bought it for 15 lakhs and I'm selling it for 10 lakhs, then it will become a capital loss. There are few terms which you must know when you're trying to calculate your capital gain. First is net value of consideration. What is net value of consideration? The full selling price, whatever you're getting of the asset which you have sold, less all the expenses which you have incurred towards its selling. Let's say I have sold an house property for 50 lakhs. So that's the full value of consideration. But I have to pay some brokerage and some other expenses on selling, which is around 1% or 1 lakh rupees. So from this 50 lakh, I deduct 1 lakh and the net value of consideration which I received is 49 lakhs. So 49 lakh here will be my net value of consideration. The second is cost of acquisition. So cost of acquisition is the cost which you had to incur at the time when you have bought the house. Then third point is cost of improvement. So it is the cost which you have incurred towards, in case of house property, in case of you have put the money for repairs, renovations of the house and all other expenses of the house. So that is cost of improvement. Now, if it is short term, then it is very easy. Let's say I'll say 70 lakhs is my selling price and my purchase price is my cost of acquisition is 55 lakhs and cost of improvement is 5 lakhs. So 70 minus 55 minus 5. So the 10 lakh which is remaining is my capital gain. So simple short-term capital gain is calculated. But if it is long-term capital gain and if it is a property, then you get a benefit which is called as indexation. What is indexation? Indexation will say that the property which I have bought 10 years ago for 55 lakhs, let's say if I would have bought that same property today, the property would have cost me not 55 lakhs but 60 lakhs. And you have sold it for 70 lakhs. So now I will not say 70 minus 55. 15 is the gain. I will say 70 minus 60. 10 is my gain. So what we have done is we have inflated the cost of acquisition of the property with the help of cost inflation index, which is given by the government, and brought it to a higher value. Now you don't have to worry so much about the calculations. When you file your income tax returns or whenever we use any calculators, you simply have to put the sell value, you have to put the buy value, also you can put the purchase date, sell date. The calculator will itself take care of all the indexations, whether it is long term, short term and everything. Now when you bought a real estate, when you bought a house property, you will be taxed on its profit on sale. When you have sold a property for 50 lakhs, which you have bought for 40 lakhs. So the difference between the prices, the profit which you have made, which is 10 lakhs, is to be taxed on. Now, how it will be taxed on? It will depend upon the period. So if you have hold this property for more than 2 years, it will be treated as long-term capital gain. If you have hold this property for less than 2 years, it will be treated as short-term capital gain. If it is long-term gain, then you will be taxed at 20% with indexation. And if it is short-term gain, you will be taxed at normal income tax slab rate. If you're selling an immovable property can be physical gold, gold bars, gold jewelry, ornaments, etc. Now you will be taxed again on profit on sale. If you have hold the particular physical gold or any immovable property for more than 3 years, then it is a long-term capital gain. If you have hold it for less than 3 years, then it will be treated as short-term capital gain. And regarding the taxation part, the long-term capital gain will be taxed at 20% with indexation, and the short-term capital gain will be taxed at normal income tax slab rates. A lot of you might be trading in stocks. Indian stocks. So when we talk about the domestic equity, I am talking only and only about the listed shares. Listed shares are those which are sold through the stock exchanges in India and on which STT is paid, that is Securities Transaction Tax is paid. Now I'm talking about the taxability, which is capital gains, which is profit on sale of these shares. So when you sell these shares, it depends upon how much time you have holded on to them. If you have hold a particular share more than 12 months, then it becomes a long-term capital gain. If you have hold the shares for less than 12 months, less than a year of time, then it is a short-term capital gain. If it is a short-term capital gain, you are simply taxed at 15% flat rate on that total amount. But if it is a long-term capital gain, then you are taxed on 10%, but the first 1 lakh rupees of long-term capital gain is allowed you as an exemption. For example, you have made 3 lakhs of long-term capital gain. The first 1 lakh is exempt. It's not taxed. The next 2 lakh rupees will be taxed at 10%. So you have to pay tax of rupees 20,000 on long-term capital gain. Now talking about the dividends you receive from these listed equity shares. The dividends you received, again, the first 5,000 rupees are exempted. If you're receiving dividend more than 5,000 rupees, let's say I receive dividend of 70,000 rupees. So first 5,000 rupees is exempt. The next 65,000 rupees, you have to pay tax. How much? Again, same 10%. So dividends are also taxed at 10% over and above of rupees 5,000. Apart from Indian equity, you might also be trading in US equity. Now, when you're trading in US equity and you have made profit on sale, you will be taxed based on the period of holding. The period of holding here is if you have hold on to the US equity more than 2 years of time, it is long term. And if you have hold on less than 2 years of time, then it is short term. If you have hold on more than 2 years of time, then you will be taxed at 20%. But you will not get any indexation here. And if you have hold on less than 2 years of time, which is short term, if you're making short term capital gains, you will be taxed simply at income tax slab rates. So that income would be merged with your normal income as if it is part of gross total income. Coming to the second part, which is dividend on US equity. Now, when you're getting dividend on US equity, you are taxed on that dividend at 25% flat, and you will not get any exemption here. Most of you have been trading in equity-oriented mutual funds. Now, as per income tax, equity-oriented mutual funds will cover all the mutual funds which are putting more than 65% in equity and less than 35% in debt. It includes equity funds, aggressive hybrid funds, balanced advantage funds, and arbitrage funds as well. Now, you will be taxed on profit on sale at the time you will be selling these. Again, this is very similar to the domestic equity. So if you have hold on to these mutual funds for more than 1 year, more than 12 months of time, it's long term. If it's less than 12 months of time, it's short term. In short term, you are taxed at 15% flat. In long term, again, the first 1 lakh is allowed to you as an exemption and you are taxed over and above 1 lakh at 10%. So if you have sold a mutual fund and made a capital gain of 1,50,000, the first 1 lakh is exempt. the above 50,000 will be taxed at 10%. So you have to pay tax of around 5,000. When we talk about debt-oriented mutual funds, they are going to be very different. Their taxation is going to be very different than equity-oriented mutual funds. Debt-oriented mutual funds are those which invest more than 65% of their money in debt and less than 35% of their money in equity. It includes all debt funds, gold ETF, multi-asset funds, conservative hybrid funds, and international fund of funds. This will obviously be taxed on profit on sale. So when you sell, there is a profit, you're taxed on that. Now, here the trick is there is no short term and long term. They are always treated as short term and will always be taxed at income tax slab rate. So whatever money you're making by selling of debt mutual funds, it will be taxed as if your normal income is taxed in whatever slab you cover into. So fixed deposits. Now in fixed deposits, there is no profit on sale. When the FD is matured, we get the principal amount as well as the interest which has been accrued from year to year. Now whether you get interest every year or you get the total accrued interest after 3 years or 4 years, the interest whichever is accrued or received in that particular year is taxed in that particular year on income tax slab rate and is under income from other sources. Speaking about digital gold, gold mutual funds, ETFs and their taxation, if you have hold on to them more than 3 years, they become long-term capital gain. If you have hold on to them less than 3 years, they become short-term capital gain. If they are short-term capital gain, you will be taxed at income tax slab rate. If they are long-term capital gain, you will be taxed at 20%. But indexation benefits will not be available in case of gold mutual funds, hybrid mutual funds, international mutual funds. The last asset in our list is cryptocurrencies. When we trade into cryptos, there is no short term, long term. They are simply taxed at a flat rate of 30%. When we talk about shares, what comes to our mind is the listed shares, which we trade at NSE, BSE through our stockbrokers. But what remains is the unlisted shares, which we invest through private equity or when we invest in startups, when we get equity shares, but they are not listed into NSE or BSE. So their taxability is a bit different. How? If you are holding on to them for more than 2 years, it becomes your long-term capital gain. If you're holding on to them for less than 2 years, it becomes your short-term capital gain. And if it is short-term capital gain, you will be taxed at normal income tax slab rate. But if you are holding on to them for long-term, that is more than 2 years, then you will be taxed at 20% with indexation. You will also get the indexation benefits in case of unlisted shares.